Today's question is your J.O.B enough? This is Spontaneous Conversations. Greetings, everyone. My name is Bart, and the purpose of this podcast is to inspire you to start thinking differently. I want you to develop a mindset of transformation. Now, we know that thoughts are things, and what we think about, we become. Now, this podcast has no paid sponsorship, so I'm relying on you. If you're following me on YouTube, please click that subscribe button, the bell next to it to receive notifications. Please hit it on Spotify, any of the other platforms you may find us on to receive your notifications. But most importantly, please tell your friends. Once again, is your J.O.B enough? Now, I want to have just a real, raw, spontaneous conversation with you and talk to you for just a few moments about something that probably all of us can understand and relate to, and that is whether or not our J.O.B is enough. Now, I'm purposely calling it a J.O.B and not a job because for many people, it means that you're just over broke. I want to share with you an article, a letter to the editor in Forbes magazine some years ago, and you may very well be able to relate to this. You see, the person wrote in and said they had this gives them some financial stability. They have enough money to pay their bills and put something away every month. And the job appears to be pretty stable, and they really like what they do and the people they work with. However, they're always at work. That's what the company culture is like. They have meetings scheduled sometimes at 8 or 9 p.m., and no one seems to mind. Now, this individual that wrote in just had a son a couple of years previous, so he has a 2-year-old at home, and he loves to hang out with them on the weekends, and during the week, though, he never sees his son. His spouse takes the son to preschool before they go to work and then picks him up at night and feeds him and bathes him and puts the kid to bed. And by the time this guy gets home, his son is fast asleep. So they're trying to decide what to do. And the question then becomes, what is a bigger priority? My family or my job? You see, they're caught in this crux. Has a really good paying job that can help support the family, but that's not enough. The spouse has to work part-time and not always there to be someone that could be a role model and a dad for this kid. So what do you do? Is the J.O.B enough? I want to throw something at you. The world is changing. This is 2021. Do you realize in just 6 years, by 2027, 86.5 million people across this planet will work whenever and wherever they want? You see, it's a shift from traditional jobs to more independent work. How do we know this? Well, we've been living through this thing for almost a year now called a pandemic. And in that pandemic, we've learned to be more remote with our work. Yeah, I realize that this is February. March, for us in the U.S., is when it began. And it's not going to end in March of 2021. So we're at this thing for almost a year now. And things have changed. And on a previous episode, I talked about the pandemic being a paradigm shift. And that's really what we have here, is a real true paradigm shift. Because you see, prior to the pandemic, in the old world, people pretty much had one job and one career. And they worked 9 to 5, 8 to 4, 7 to 3, 10 to 6, whatever it was called the 40-40-40 plan. And by that I mean they worked 40 hours a week for 40 years, and when they retired, they got 40% of their income. Did you know that today 84% of the people who are independent workers, people that are doing their own thing, live a preferred lifestyle? compared to just 54% in traditional J.O.Bs. And you go, but Bart, how is that? What happens? We see all of our expectations have changed because of the pandemic, but more importantly, because of technology and social media. We want things now. You know, if it takes our systems too long to boot up in the morning, we get frustrated. If we try to go out to a website and it hangs, we get frustrated. We want things right now. What's that right now called? It's called time freedom. That's what we want. And how do you get time freedom? Well, one of the things I want to talk about today about the J.O.B. is the importance of having residual income. Now, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm not going to try to talk to you about what I do. I just want you to start thinking differently. I want you to start thinking about what happens. Think back to March of 2020 when the pandemic hit, when schools started shutting down, when businesses started closing. You may have been in a very good J.O.B., but were you concerned about the future? See, one income source no longer is enough. And here's an analogy for you. Think about a table. I want you to picture a table in your mind. Now, does that table have 4 legs, or is it a pedestal table? If it's a pedestal table, if you ever owned a pedestal table, and I love pedestal tables, if you ever owned a pedestal table, you know what happens. The top can get unbalanced. It starts rocking. There's this big long screw that connects the base to the top of the table. And sometimes you have to tighten it, and if it starts to strip, well, there you go. A table with 4 legs. If one of those legs becomes a little bit wobbly, the table is still pretty stable. The analogy is that's your life. That's your income flow. If everything is in that one pedestal, then it may become unstable. But when you have multiple income streams, that's when it becomes real different. Now, I'm not saying go out and get a second job. Not that at all. Because you've got a job, you've got a career, and you're doing well with it. Or you think you're doing well with it. But maybe you need something else coming into it. And that's what I'm talking about here. Is creating something different. Here's what I want you to really think about. Ask yourself, what is your why? Why do you do what you do? You see, you can never, ever discover the how to create other income that's purposeful without knowing your why first. Your why is what is important. Your why determines when you can take that next step, and your why determines where you go. The why is the most important thing. Why do you do what you do? Why do I do what I do? Because my why is inspiring others to live the life they deserve. Not the life they want, not the life they envision, but the life they deserve. Because you see, your life you deserve may very well be much larger than the life you want. Maybe you just want to get a few credit cards paid off. Or maybe you want to move to a bigger house or to a new city. Or maybe you want to take a vacation or a cruise for the first time. That's your want, but what is your why? What is it that really inspires you to live a life that you deserve? And that's what I am talking about today. You see, your expectations are changing. Not only do you want that time freedom and that residual income, there's a third piece to all this. And that third piece is giving back. If you look at the great philanthropists of the world, the people like the Bill Gateses of the world, some of the things they're known for is their philanthropic commitment, what they're willing to give back, what they're willing to do for others. And that's what's critical. You see, there's something that's called the boomerang effect. And just like when you toss out a boomerang, what happens? It comes back to you. Well, the boomerang effect is when you toss out goodwill, goodwill returns to you in equal or greater proportion. That is the law of the universe. So what starts to happen when you give out goodwill, when you take yourself one step beyond where you're currently staying and living right now, and that life bubble that you're in? When you go one step further, what starts to happen? What starts to happen is that people who are worth being noticed start noticing you. And that's what I'm talking about too here. There's people out there that are noticing you. They're called influencers. And they're noticing what you're doing, and they can help you go to that very next level. But because you're giving of yourself and you're giving back and you're giving to others. I have several organizations that I am very passionate about. One of them is Broadway Cares. Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS. It's an amazing organization that works across this planet, not only in education, but also in feeding, in nursing, in providing shelter, providing clothing for people. They are an organization that believes in the value of giving. That's just one of them. There's several that I am really passionate about. But here's the point. It's when you start moving in that direction that other people start noticing you and things start to happen. I'll give you an example. It happened this morning, in fact. I got up early this morning and had a Zoom call with a lady over in Nigeria who is a media person over in Nigeria. And we had this conversation. And her why and her passion came out so clearly. You see, she was looking for a venue, an avenue, if you will, in which to help moms, pretty much single moms, but ladies in her community, to inspire them, to help them create some type of residual income flow so that they could start supporting small businesses, they could start supporting each other, that they would have a way to generate some residual income for their family. And we had a great conversation, but here's the thing. You see, she had a big obstacle, and that was that her internet and the power, her electrical power source there was starting to fade. So she started fading out several times during the conversation. But that didn't stop her. She kept coming back. And we kept having a conversation. And the more she talked, the more I could see, hear, but more importantly, feel the passion that she has for what she is doing. And we're going to continue this conversation going further. Now, how did I meet this lady? She found me. Somehow she found me. I didn't ask. I don't care. That's not what's important. What's important is that the two attractions there came together of helping and serving others. Another thing that I'm very passionate about is a thing called the Boom Foundation. And the Boom Foundation provides meals of proper nutrition to malnourished kids all over the world. It's only been around for less than 2 years and already has provided over millions and millions of meals of proper nutrition. Some of those kids are in the villages close to where this lady lives. There's that connectivity there. You see, it's the part of being that philanthropic part. That's how our expectations of life have changed. We now are looking for more time freedom. We're now looking for more residual type income. And we're looking for a way to give back because we know that when you give out goodwill, goodwill returns to you in equal or greater proportions. Sometimes monetarily, sometimes spiritually, sometimes emotionally, but it comes back to you in equal or greater proportions. Before I wrap this up, I want to offer something to you. You're listening to this podcast, maybe watching this on YouTube. I want to offer to you my time. If you're interested in just having a conversation and you tell me where you are and what you're looking to create, I want to give you my time to have that conversation. Maybe it's 15 minutes, maybe it's 30 minutes. But it's a time for us just to talk. I'm not going to try to sell you anything. I'm just going to share with you what I do, what my niche market is, what the people I love to work with. And one of the groups I love to work with are aspiring artists. People that know that's their passion. And they want to pursue their passion without compromising that pursuit. Those are the people I enjoy working with. All you have to do is message me. Go out to my website, gogetbart.com. You'll see an email link there. Click on it, send me an email, or send me an instant message on any of my social media. Give me your contact info, and we will talk. Now, our thought for the week is this. I want you to go and do something. I want you to ask a bunch of young children, what do they want to be when they grow up? And I want you to listen to their response. And I bet 100% that not one single child will say, I'm going to try to be a doctor, or I'm going to try to be a fireman, or I'm going to try to be a nurse, or I'm going to try to be a professional athlete, I'm going to try to be an actor, a dancer. The word try is not part of their vocabulary. They have an affirmation. I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to be a dancer. I'm going to be a musician. I'm going to be an actor. I'm going to be a fireman. That's an affirmation. What's the point to all of this? Take the word try out of your vocabulary. Eliminate it. Eliminate it totally. Yoda taught us that. Do or not do, there is no try. There is no try. Make that affirmation that you are going to find a way in which to enrich your life so that you and those you love can live the life you deserve. Here's the thought for the week. When a baby learns to walk and falls down 50 times, that baby doesn't think, this ain't for me. No, they get back up and keep walking. I want you to get back up and keep walking. And thank you so much for joining me today. Again, connect with me on social media. Go out to my website, gogetbart.com. You'll see all of my social media links out there. Get back with me. Let's have that conversation. And I want you to also, while you're out there, learn more about my campaign on artists as entrepreneurs. Again, this podcast has no paid sponsorship, so I'm relying on you. Please click that subscribe button and the bell next to it if you're on YouTube, or please get those notifications if you're on one of the podcast platforms. So until next time, go out and create some spontaneous conversation.